At the beginning of the story, we see a hitman preparing to take out his target with a sniper rifle larger than his own body. His target is an agent from his own company, who after retirement, is enjoying himself with young girls, using his retirement pension. The surprising thing was that 5 people were working together to kill this old man. This included the girl who was being intimate with the agent. Just as the sniper fired, he missed his mark, and the bullet grazed the target. After this, the rest of the team stormed into the agent's mansion, and riddled his chest with bullets. After the job was done, their boss sent a helicopter to extract them from the location. After this, we see a second agent who was about to retire in a few days. Actually, these agents were professional killers working for a contract killing company. Duncan was also a bloody killer. In his 30-year career, he had committed so many murders that even the company told him, "Duncan, you should take a vacation sometimes." This man had neither a family nor any government records to identify him. He was a nameless assassin. And these very things set him apart from other contract killers. Duncan goes to his accountant, who informs him that the company will give him 8 million upon his retirement. Meaning, in rupees, he was going to get 64 crores for his 30 years of loyalty. As always, this time too he donates $1.5 lakh from that money. Who did he give this money to? Where did he give it? Even his accountant didn't know. Next, we see the company manager, Vivian, who had come to attend the funeral of the retired agent. Duncan was also present there, but he didn't show himself to anyone. He asked, "Who killed Michael?" He had quit the job, and his record was clean. To which Vivian told him, "It's some Russian mafia. They have killed 4 of our agents in the last month, and all of them were either already retired or about to retire." She showed him a photo of their leader and said, "This is the man. The boss wants to give you one last job. Kill him. This will be your final mission." Duncan said, "There are other agents in the company. Get them to do this job. Why am I being given this mission?" Vivian says, "Don't act petulant like a child. I know you are very upset. But he wants you to do this job. In return, he will pay you good money too." But Duncan wanted to forget his past and make a new start. That's why he didn't accept the mission. After this, he went to a store where he bought a book and a movie DVD. His eyes fell on a girl who was selling a stray dog. To overcome his loneliness, he bought that dog and brought it home with him. Duncan lived an underground life. Wherever he went, he erased any evidence of his presence. That night, he drank heavily and fell asleep intoxicated. He had been so alone for so many years that when the dog came near his feet, he mistook it for an enemy and shot it. Duncan truly had no heart. He had just adopted it in the morning, and by evening, he had killed the poor thing. He felt sad, but what could he do now? Finally, he buried it and tried to get used to being alone. A girl lived in his neighborhood. Duncan saw that she was trying to chop wood but wasn't succeeding. The next day, Duncan went to the market again. But this time, he bought a fish tank because keeping dogs or cats wasn't for him. When that girl returned to her home, she saw that someone had chopped all her wood. Duncan had done this, but he didn't tell her. Keeping to himself was his way of life. Meanwhile, Vivian was messaging him repeatedly. She wanted him to accept the mission somehow. But Duncan kept ignoring her offer. Finally, Vivian promised him $2 million. After that, Duncan started taking her calls and said, "I'll think about it." Vivian told her boss, "Blood, forget him. He's too shrewd. He won't fall into our trap that easily." But Blood asked, "Why do you get so nervous talking to him? He's just a mere agent. Give him whatever money he wants. Anyway, he will eventually come to us." After this, we see Blood at a high-profile meeting where the Chinese mafia had come to make a deal to buy his company. They said, "Your company lost 29 million last year. Why would we buy a company that is already in debt?" Blood said the company was in debt, but everything would be cleared in the next few weeks. It turns out that when his great-grandfather started this company, he would pay every agent for their loyalty upon retirement. Or, in other words, he used to give agents their retirement money. But when Blood renewed the contract, he made changes to it, which meant that if anything happened to an agent before retirement, all their money would accumulate in the company's fund. He was behind the deaths of all the previous agents. He had seized their money, which he was using to pay off his debt. The buyer said, "We need a guarantee that you will kill those agents and pay off all the debt. Only then will we buy this company. Otherwise, no." Meanwhile, we see Duncan going to Russia for some work. In his career he had committed countless murders, which he never regretted. But the memories of one mission haunted him like a terrible nightmare. In Russia, he meets a prostitute and spends the night with her. While they were being intimate, her son entered the room. Duncan said, "You don't send him to school." The girl replied, "You come here only once in a while. I don't get enough money in this job anymore to get him admitted." He asked, "How much do you charge for 2 nights? Come with me. I'll pay you well." The woman agreed. After that, He took them both to a hotel. In the same hotel, we see a man talking to Vivian. He said, "Where is your man? I've been waiting for him." But he didn't know that Duncan was standing outside his room. Pretending to work, he was making a lot of noise. When the annoyed man came out, Duncan nailed his hands and feet and killed everyone in his room. There, his eyes fell on a file containing his photo and all his details. He realized something was wrong. He asked, "Who paid you to kill me?" But when he didn't tell, Duncan shot him. After this, he called Vivian and said, "Okay, I'll do your job." After which Vivian transferred $1 million to his account. She thought the prey had fallen into the hunter's trap. But Duncan was no fool. Vivian had no idea that Duncan had already completed his task. As soon as the money arrived in his account, Duncan sent her a photo of the dead body and said, "The job is done." Vivian was shocked to see it. All her plans were ruined, and $1 million were wasted for nothing. Duncan said the remaining money should arrive within the next 24 hours. Otherwise, consider this deal over. He also informed her that an attempt was being made on his life. And if he found out she was involved, the consequences would be bad. When the prostitute found out that Duncan had used her and her son to get into the hotel, she slapped him hard and said, "You are putting my son's life in danger. Get out of here and never come to me again." Meanwhile, an angry Vivian went to Blood and said, "What kind of amateurs did you send to kill him? Now if you want us to live peacefully, immediately give Duncan his money and forget about him." But Blood said, "I won't give him the money." Instead, he sent his team to kill Duncan. His people first went to the accountant and asked, "Where is your client?" The poor man was begging for his life. But they shot him dead and took the files away. After that, they went to Florida. When Cindy entered Duncan's flat, a man was already waiting for her there. Mistaking Cindy for a prostitute, he assaulted and tried to force himself on her. But then the rest of the team entered and killed him. In anger, Cindy stabbed his corpse with a knife because she never expected anyone to hurt her so much here. After that, they went to New Jersey. Some tenants lived here too. They asked, "Where is the owner of this house? Who do you pay the rent to?" But when they didn't answer, these people killed them too. Then they went to Texas, Michigan, and who knows how many other places. But only tenants lived there. There was no trace of their owner, i.e. Duncan. Meanwhile, in Montana, Duncan, unaware of the danger, was trying to live a normal life. One day his neighbor Camille and Duncan meet at a grocery store. They had no one else there, so they quickly became friends. Camille said, "It seems you don't have a job either. Probably no money, that's why you live here." But Duncan told her, "No, I'm actually retired." And he lied about his work. Camille found out that Duncan could speak 8 languages and had traveled to more than 99 countries so far. She said, "Why don't you take classes for the children here? Just for one day, they will definitely learn something from you." After this, Duncan goes with her to a primary school. There, he realized he knew nothing except how to kill someone. What would he tell the children? Finally, he taught them how to handle weapons, and showed them what a dead person looks like. Whenever a child asked him about a country, he only remembered the people he had killed in those countries. India, Brazil, England, Afghanistan, he had done missions everywhere. Duncan notices that Camille used to get scared of small things. One day he comes to her and gifts her a gun, saying, "From now on, you are not helpless." But Camille said, "I don't know how to use a gun." Duncan promised her that he would teach her how to shoot. He took her to a deserted forest and said, "Okay, aim at that." But as soon as Camille held the gun, her hand started shaking. Duncan said, "It's okay, my mistake. I shouldn't have given you the gun. I'll return it tomorrow." He asked, "Why are you always so scared?" At this Camille, crying, told him that when she was little, she worked in a library. One day, the librarian came to her in a drunken state and forced himself on her. Saying this, she started crying loudly. Camille said, "I want to find him, put a gun to his head, and ask him why he did that to me. I want to kill him so that his face is gone from my eyes forever." Hearing her words, Duncan didn't show his feelings. But inwardly, he thought that if he had been there, he would have killed him. Meanwhile, Blood's team found a check containing the details of the bank, where Duncan donated $1.5 lakh every year. Unfortunately, that bank was right where Duncan was currently living. The next day, they all reached Montana and began surveillance outside that bank. Duncan, who had come nearby to return the gun, came into their sight. As he was returning home, he saw a girl on the way whose car had broken down. It turned out to be Cindy, ready to ensnare him with her beauty. Duncan took her to his home with him. Cindy pretended that no one was coming to pick her up tonight and requested to stay there. Soon it was night. Cindy said, "I've never slept with an older man." Duncan was a lecherous man. He immediately understood Cindy's hints, and after that, both pounced on each other. Cindy was wearing a wireless microphone around her neck. With its help, a sniper stationed far away took aim at Duncan. Just as he fired, Duncan immediately moved, and the bullet hit Cindy directly in the shoulder. Cindy was telling him where he was, but Duncan killed her. When the others entered the room, they found Duncan wasn't there. They started looking for him. But then the sniper heard a clicking sound. Duncan, shivering in the bone, chilling cold without clothes, was standing behind him. He shot him and started hunting down the others one by one. One of them, a woman, says, "I will find and kill you." But Duncan turned on his night vision and searched for her carefully. He located her hiding behind a fridge from the vapor formed by her sharp breaths. After which, Duncan fired a shot and blew her head off. He found an address in their pockets. When he reached there, a girl was lying there, high on drugs. She accidentally revealed their plan B, she said. "Where is that girl that Duncan gives gifts to?" Duncan understood who she was talking about. He immediately went to Camille's house but found that those people had kidnapped her. When he came back, he saw that girl had also disappeared. After this, he went to a friend in Michigan. His retired friend was surprised to find him alive. He asked, "How many times have they tried to kill you?" Duncan said, "Twice, and now a girl is also in their custody." His friend tells him, that scoundrel Blood must have kept her in his mansion. That's where he fulfills all his lust and dirty desires. Just as Duncan was about to leave, his friend, under the pretense of shaking hands, drugged him with a sedative, causing Duncan to lose consciousness. He had betrayed him. Meanwhile, we see Blood, furious and enraged over his girlfriend Hildy's death. He said, "What you did to me cannot be repaid by your death." Duncan still had 4 days left until his official retirement, and for the next 4 days, he was going to torture him. Duncan found out they were giving Camille drugs, slowly pushing her towards death. Blood said, "Just 4 more days, and then I will do everything to that girl in front of your eyes and then kill her right in front of you." After that, he picked up a plier and began tearing at his body like a vulture. Duncan was screaming in pain, but he didn't stop. The next day, he took out his set of knives and used each one on him, one by one. Duncan's whole body was bruised and bloody, and the floor was red with every drop of his blood. On the 3rd day, this series of torments continued. This time when Blood stabbed a blade into his stomach, it hit a metal plate in his bone and broke. Blood said, "You broke my favorite blade." After which, in anger, he gouged out his eye. Tomorrow was Duncan's last day, but he was only thinking about Camille. Grunting in pain, he pulled out the piece of blade stuck in his stomach, and used it to pick the lock on his handcuffs. The next day, when the guards came to tie him up, he attacked them. Everyone who entered that room was killed. When Blood heard people screaming, he fled through a back gate and told his people, "You guys deal with him." Duncan, killing everyone in his path, tried to escape. In a narrow alley, deadly blows were rained on him from the front. He was shot many times. But somehow, he was still standing on his feet. Finally, he killed everyone and went to a friend's place, hiding his injuries. Duncan called Vivian and said he wanted to make a deal. He said, "The girl in exchange for me," and hung up. Fortunately, his new friend wasn't a traitor. She treated him and took care of him until Duncan recovered. Meanwhile, Blood did not want to let that girl go. Vivian said, "Then fine. It's decided. How many men do you have? I need everyone. I'm going to kill him." After recovering, Duncan picked up a lot of guns and went to a derelict warehouse with them. On the way, he had called Vivian and said, "I will meet you at this location tomorrow. You bring Camille with you." But Vivian was tracing his call. With her people, she began heading to his live location. Duncan was no less cunning. In this time, he had made all preparations for the worst. After a while, Vivian reached him. She said, "You've become so weak for a girl. I didn't expect this from you." But Duncan wanted to give them a chance to live. He said, "I just want that girl. Take whatever else you want." But thinking him weak, Vivian told her people to kill him. As she turned to walk away, suddenly Duncan pulled out a motion controlled machine gun and mowed everyone down with bullets. Vivian was also badly injured. She begged Duncan for help, but Duncan left her to die and walked away. Blood was watching all this on his monitor. He said, "Let him come. I'll deal with him." But when Duncan entered his mansion, all his bodyguards fled upon seeing him. When Duncan stood before him, Blood picked up a sword to defend himself, but Duncan had brought an even larger sword. With a single stroke, he decapitated him and left. After this, he went to Camille. Her whole body was wrecked from a drug overdose. She was unconscious for many days, lying on the bed lifeless like a coma patient. One morning, when Duncan woke up, he saw that someone had placed a pile of newspaper clippings and some pictures on his bed. The newspaper referred to the incident that often gave him nightmares. Before he could understand anything, he saw Camille standing ready to kill him, aiming a gun at his head. Camille asked, "Why did you kill my family, and why did you let me live that day?" It turns out that many years ago, on a mission, someone had deliberately given Duncan wrong information, which led him to kill an innocent family, and that family was none other than Camille's family. Duncan had to atone for his sins. That's why he had been looking after Camille since her childhood. Every year, the 1.5 crore rupees was also given to Camille. Duncan said, "Pull the trigger. Perhaps there is no atonement for my sins." Camille thought hard and fired the bullet, but she didn't kill Duncan. Duncan wasn't a bad man. If he were bad, he would never have helped her. The bad one was the man who had gotten her family killed. Camille asked, "Can we find him?" To which Duncan said, "Yes, I can find him." With this, the story ends here.